Hi guys, it's Humpday lesson day. How you guys doing? Just to do a little lesson here. Make sure it's my guitar, right? Yeah. So how you guys doing? I'm not really sure what I want to teach today. Let me just think about it here for a second. How you guys doing? About tuning, I'm going to talk about tuning for a second. If you tune every single string to a metronome on a guitar, you won't have the best tuning possible. What's good is to take the bass strings and turn it down a little flat, and the treble strings tune them up a little sharp, so you widen the spectrum of the two octaves between the E and the E, and it just sounds better and makes you tune better. Tune the middle string, maybe the G or the G to the tuner, and then tune the high strings sharper than normal and the bass strings flatter than normal. You'll actually get a better sound. Just a little tip there. Now, as far as that sounding like Alan Holdsworth and my new smart fingers technique, I've done it many times where I do the numbers of the fingers. That's really important to me. When you can get your head around all the permutations, 24 of them, for 4 fingers, you really think like you have 4 fingers. You don't think like you just have 3 and you're using one that's alternately between as one of the 3 fingers. You're actually playing 4 independent fingers, which makes you play differently. You know, you're not going to play just 3 notes of the string all the time. You're going to play notes in between that. It's going to sound different, and I like that sound. And as far as sounding like Alan Holdsworth, as far as the sound part, the notes part, the finger part is, I just told you a little bit of it, but of the notes part, what I do is I know my scales and I try not to repeat any lick that long or play in any one key for very long. It's not just random notes, it's just that I don't want to stay in one key. I don't want to stay just always in one, let's say, E major. Do that long enough and it becomes predictable. People just know what you're going to play next, and I don't like that sound. I'd rather go. Guessing makes it interesting to me, and plus it just sounds different than what everyone else is doing or has done, which I like. That's a good thing. Anyway, and about playing over the neck with the left hand. What's funny is that the fingers are reversed. Your finger 4 becomes finger 1, finger 3 becomes finger 2, finger 2 becomes finger 3, and finger 1 becomes finger 4. So you have to. It's good to know your fingers good, so you can. You don't get lost by the fact that your fingers are inverted. It's kind of fun and it looks cool. Of course, you can do it tapping too. So it's all good fun, you know. And the holding the guitar up in the air technique, you really have to hold it on good with your thumb, so your fingers are free to finger. It's really hard to do, kind of, because the guitar's kind of making it hard to do, because you're holding it and fingering it at the same time. You can add tapping to it too. You know, and that's my new technique. My new technique too. My new trick, I guess you could say. Holding the guitar up like that. Now, what else? Having said that, I did finally get my head around Yngwie Malmsteen's style and technique the other day. I think yesterday. I'm not going to do it like when I play for my stuff, but it's good to know every player that came before you, so that you can go further. It's better. You can step further if you stand on the shoulders of giants. You can, Newton said that. I don't know what he may think that people may think of him, but he sees himself as a child on the shore of catch. Oh well, there's that, but also there's a saying: even Newton stood on the shoulders of giants. So know your predecessors, know what came before you, and then you can do it differently or choose to use some of their stuff. So I'd like to go on about Yngwie a little bit, just because I haven't done that in my lessons. I'm going to just play a little like Humpday and then just explain some. Why not? So let's say I'm an E harmonic minor. So I can do an E minor, D major, E harmonic minor red, that kind of thing, E harmonic minor has a D sharp. That's a major 7. Requires good picking, coordination, and finger skill. Of course, he does pedal notes sometimes, like this, you know. Kind of hard. I'm not really the best at it, but you get the point, maybe. Work to be done there. And you can do sweeping arpeggios. E minor arpeggio there. And then you can do an F sharp, I mean, you can do a D sharp, diminished 7. Exactly, you have an E minor triad. There's a lot of that. And like I said, you can do the, you can do A minor triad. B major. Back to E minor. Pedal thing again. I do it better when it's on one string, one high string, just for the pedal button. And diminished 7s are symmetrical. They're every 3 frets. It's the same pattern. Just like 3 frets. Of course, the minor trouble. And of course, think of Eruption. The ending finale of Eruption is an E harmonic minor. But I don't try to sound like that when I go to play, but it's good to know how to do that so that I can pull it out if I want to, no pun intended, or know what not to do if I don't want to sound like that, you know. I know what not to do. If I don't want to sound like that, I can avoid those notes or avoid those things, and you can do that too. That's the thing. So, anything else for now? I really think it's freed my hand. Like I said, the smart fingers thing really freed up my left hand. It really did. I mean, I don't feel like I'm just playing 3 notes per string anymore. and just and play the note you feel, you know. And you don't have to play only one note and then don't play the others until you play all the other. Don't play another note until you play all the other notes. That just puts you in a box where you sound like you have to. The theory is controlling you and telling you what to do. I don't like that. If I want to sound a note more than once and then go to the next note, that's fine. Just play the note you want to hear. And anyway, and playing behind your back is cool too. I think it's challenging to play behind your head. I should say behind the head that's fun. It's a cool thing I'm doing now too. Now, what do I want to teach you guys? Let's see how the beat is going. Let's do some rhythm stuff. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to teach here. Let's do. This is 4/4 time, I think. Let's do quarter notes. Eighth notes. Swung eighth notes. Triplets. Reverse swing. And stay with the beat. Stay on the beat if you want to. Go off the beat sometimes on purpose and then come back to it. There I was on the beat perfectly. Then I went into a flurry where I didn't really care about the beat, and then I came back to the beat. It takes the listeners on a journey, you know. It's fun that way. It's fun to just play with the beat. You know, you don't have to be a machine. Always play on the beat, you know, that kind of thing. But know the beat and be able to play on the beat whenever you want, and then just take an excursion if you want to also, and go away from that strict feeling and then come back to it so the listener knows. Remember, the matter says we're pattern recognition machines. You know, you make enough of a pattern for them to recognize it, but not so much of a pattern that they're not surprised. You want to surprise them, but yet let them still feel like they can recognize it at the same time. It's a juggling act. You know, it's kind of like, on one hand, I have complete unpredictability. On the other hand, I have complete boringness, and you kind of juggle the two together, and it makes it interesting, I think. Do that with rhythm, like I just said. You can kind of do it with form too, or other things. You know, like you play a melody. You don't want to play that all day because it'll just sound like what else can you do? But you do something different. Yeah, I played the melody. You can remember that. Then I went off on a thing. Then I came back to that. That's what music kind of does. It pushes and pulls. It takes you on a journey and ends where it starts and starts where it ends. It just you do enough to make people recognize it, but not so much that they know that they're bored. You want to excite them and entertain them without making them feel like you just went off the rails on the crazy train as well. You know. Yeah, I started with a theme, and then I went off on something different, and then back to the theme. The famous this Beethoven, Ninth Symphony. That's the opening theme. Then he repeats it with a little change. So it's almost the first melody part, but changed. Then a completely different part. That's a totally different part. Then back to the original part. That may sound simple, but you know it's one of the greatest things ever written for music? It's just so simple, but yet it's beautiful. That's the statement of the first thing. Then a variation, altered version of it. Then a totally different pattern. Back to the original. Brilliant. And that's music. You start with the theme. Start again. Not Beethoven. I didn't say it was, but I started with that. Then I did a little different version of it. Did something totally different. Back to the first. That's all it is. I started with the melody, theme, change it, alter it. There's nothing wrong with it to get it all together. Back to the original. I just composed a piece just off the top of my head because I can hear music, play it, and I know the system. I know that there's the structure of it. I know what I'm what the pieces are, and I just create the pieces and put them there, and it sounds like music. You know, it's composition, and they call it form, like I said, structure, form, whatever. If you know the form you're after, just obey that and make music. You know, I won't do another thing about it because then pretty soon I'm going to be composing here, and that's not the point. It's just a lesson, not a performance video. But believe me, I just did that up. That's the form guided the process of creation in this case, and I like that. And notice one little trick on the Beethoven thing that even Ritchie Blackmore, the great Ritchie Blackmore, when he does Rainbow Live in Munich 1977, doesn't do this right on the Beethoven. When you first do the first note, it's 3 times. And then, so it's 1, 2, 3. Then it's 2. And the other thing. Then it's 3 again. That's tricky. Because the very first time, this is the F sharp gets played 3 times to start it. Then twice the next time it's repeated, or altered again. Then the third part, the new part. Then it goes back to 3 times on the F sharp. and that's tricky. And you have to hear. And I only learned that by listening to Beethoven's version. When I heard Richie Blackmore, he doesn't do it that way. He goes like this. This is wrong. He goes. Guys, try Richie, but it's not correct. Beethoven does it 3 times the first time. Then twice. Then third. And 3 times. If you're going to do Beethoven, Richie, do it right. Otherwise, things get haywire. I love Richie Blackmore. In fact, that's what he is such an inspiration for classical music and heavy metal. Hats off. He did that part wrong. That Beethoven thing he didn't do right, like I just said. And you can move it around in fourths. You know, I've done that before. Play a melody like that, but play it all around the circle of fifths in fourths. So you have to keep your head on straight. You got to go. Now I'm in the key of D, and then the next key would be. Then you got to play it in the key of G, and then the key of C, then the key of F, the key of B flat, the key of E flat, key of G sharp, key of C sharp, key of F sharp, key of B, key of E. That's the circle of fifths or starting in. Wait, I started in G, so then B, and then A, and then G. So a circle of fifths starting on D is D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, C sharp, C sharp, F sharp, E, E, A, G. And then you play all that same melody, all 12 of those keys around the circle of fourths or fifths. It's a really cool thing. I'm not going to bore you with it right now. It would take me forever and it would be a performance piece. But you have to know where you are last and go all the way around. And the 13th time you play it will be the same key as you started in. So there's 12 steps. So if you count the first one as 1, the last one repeated is 13. Like if 12 o'clock were 0, then 12 o'clock would also be, then 0 is also 13 o'clock. That's why we put 1 is what we do and 12 at the top because we don't like the number 13. It scares us. Oh, well, not me. This will scare me. Anyway, anything else I want to teach? I want to teach something that Eric Johnson does. He does wide, they called they called it open position triads, but that got confused with guitar, meaning open strings. We'll call it wide position triads. Eric Johnson does this a lot. Let me talk about it. Let's say I'm in the key of A. I have 3 triads in A major. I have A major, G major, and E major. That's A major. That's fine. Eddie Van Halen would go. You know. Well, he would do it. But Eric does a different thing. He widens out the voicing by taking the middle note and moving it up an octave or down an octave. So I'm going to take this C sharp and move it up to here. That's up an octave. And now it sounds like this. It's still this, but now it sounds like that. The D major, the F sharp up an octave, you get. Now, if I have A and D, I have the E major. Eric will take the G sharp up an octave and get this. So now you have. You can play the A up another octave. That's great. Close position position would just be the open position, the white position, closed position, white, look at that sound. So just because in my case I know the rules and I can break them and found my own style of my new style of smart finger doesn't mean I can't play other stuff or understand it. In fact, this Billy Sheehan said you have to know the rules before you can break them. You can't just break rules without knowing them, and then you just go willy-nilly. You don't know what you're doing. You learn the rules and then decide to break them if you want to, or not break them if you don't want to. But at least you know them, so it's your choice and you know what you're doing. Love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.